What's up, guys? Welcome to my morning routine. I want to give you one tip, or really what I'm going to call this is like the ultimate delete key to the I don't have time objection. So here's basically the number one thing that I've found to help me overcome this objection. And it's so true and so legit. You're going to be like, how did I not think about this before? But like all the time, like I'll get people coming to me, and you've probably had this happen. Like I'll get people coming to me and they'll say, like they'll mention the fact that they're super busy and they have a bunch of kids, or they're working 2 jobs, or that time is a real issue. Like sometimes this comes out on my Calendly form. It's just like I say, like, what is preventing you from getting you to where you want to go? And they'll say time, right? So a lot of times, like somewhere, this is the real key point that I want to make. Somewhere in my discovery process, I figure out that time is an issue. And the moment that I know time is an issue, I know that I need to plant the seed. I need to like pre-answer that objection before I ever get it at the end of a call, right? So for example, let me see if I can go find a Calendly form and read it. Okay, so I found one. I got it pulled up on my screen. You can't see it, but I can read it. So it says, this is on my Calendly form, right? It says, what is the biggest challenge that's holding you back from achieving your monthly goal? And this person said time mostly, and a good solid strategy, as well as carving out exactly what I want to offer. So for this person, it was time, it was a solid strategy, right? Time, strategy, and knowing about their offers, right? I knew this before I ever got on the phone with this person. It was in my Calendly form, right? But even if it wasn't in my Calendly form, there should be, like, you need to pick up on these subtle things in your conversations, right? Like when someone says, like, yeah, I'm just really busy and my husband works 2 jobs and like, I have 17 kids at home, or like whatever it is, right? Like that should be flagging in your mind of like, hello, like potential objection. They're super busy. Like there's very few common objections, right? And one thing that you will notice is, like, example, if you keep losing sales because of the time objection, then it's like obvious that you need to fix that, right? Like there's no point in getting on another sales call if you keep getting the same objection and you keep losing a sale over the time thing, right? But anyways, my point is, I already knew that even before the call. I knew it from the form, right? And if I didn't pick that up on the form, I probably would have picked it up from the call in the discovery phase, right? So I already knew it from the form. And so when I was taking notes to prep for my call, I noted, okay, this person's at this income level, they want to be here, and these are the 3 things they think they need, right? Like offer, strategy, and time is a bottleneck. So I basically, I made sure to cover that in the sales call and say, like, okay, so your main concerns are this, right? Or they talked about, like, I already knew I had to pre-answer this time objection, right? And on that call, we got to talking at some point because I already knew I had to get that out of the way. Like that was a concern. We talked about that. And she mentioned, like, yeah, my husband, works, and I have 6 kids, and time is a really big thing. And you know what my response to that was? Like, this is where I planted the seed. And it's not like some bullshit seed either. It's literally 100% true. But like, I just directed their attention to the place that I needed to direct it to really break this, like prevent this from happening and, becoming an objection later. But I was like, okay, got it. So we had a conversation. She was telling me about all this stuff going on. I was like, okay, got it. So yeah, you definitely don't have a ton of time, which probably means for you, like, you have less time than most people. Like, you don't have a ton of time to fuck around. So you definitely need a strategy to execute on this and grow your business, because you don't have all the time in the world, right? Like, your husband works, you have 6 kids, you have less time than the average human. And so I can see why you say that you're on this call and that you want help with this and you want a strategy, because you don't have fucking time to throw shit at the wall and see what sticks, right? Like, you have less time than the average bear. So that makes perfect sense to me as to, like, why we're on this call, right? And so basically what I want you to know, there's a couple things going on here, okay? number one is you have to have somewhere in your discovery process to find these things, right? Like for me, I'll tell you what it is. One of the questions on my Calendly form literally says, where is it? What is your, in capital letters, biggest challenge that is holding you back from achieving your monthly goal? And this person put time. That's where I got that information, right? But even if I didn't get it there, you know, like let's say you're a fitness coach and you don't have it on your Calendly form. Your Calendly form's wide open or whatever. You're a fitness coach. Cool. In your discovery process, you're probably going to want to ask like, okay, cool. Like, what do you do for work? Like, they're like, I mean, that's also a soft financial qualifier, right? Which is, it can be helpful, but okay, cool. Like what, like, you know, you're struggling to hit this fitness goal. You're struggling to lose these 20 pounds. I mean, you know, one common reason that people struggle to lose weight is because they don't have a ton of time, right? Or, you know, they're working crazy hours at their job. So like, where are you at with that? Like, you know, tell me a little bit about your job and your work. Like, you know, what's your lifestyle like, you know? And that's a legitimate question to ask because you need to ask that question to like, even help them come up with a fitness plan. Maybe that's going to work for them. Right. But you see how you can pre answer that? Like, okay, cool. You know, one of the biggest things that, you know, holds people up or gets in the way of them achieving their fitness stuff is time. So like, you know, because of their work or whatever, like, where are you at with that? And then they'll tell you where they are. Right. And then you can literally just say the same fucking thing that I just said. And it's 100% true, right? It's like, okay, got it. So you're working a busy job. You have 3 kids. You're running the charity organization at whatever. You're pretty strapped for time, right? Is that fair to say? They're like, yeah, totally. You're like, okay, got it. I definitely understand why we're on this call because you have less time. Like you don't have time to muck around with like trying to figure out your workouts and trying to figure out this and trying to figure out that. Like you need someone to just give you a plan that you can follow and hold you accountable. Does that sound about right? Like, is that what you're saying? They're like, yeah, totally. Cool. They're already fucking bought in, right? They're already bought in on the fact, like, if you don't do this stuff, if you don't direct people's attention in the right way, what's going to happen is you're going to get to the end of the call, you're going to present your program, and then they're going to be like, okay, I got to think about it, right? Like, now you're in the red zone. Now you're trying to objection handle in the red zone. And you're like now you don't even know what objection it is, right? Sometimes if you're not good at isolating objections, you don't even know why pardon my French, but like, you don't even know why the fuck they need to think about it. And some of you like don't know how to like, you know, figure that out or isolate it to, you know, find out what the real thing is so you can unpack it, right? It's just so much harder to get this stuff when it's at the end of the call. And so then you get these objections and, you know, like, then it becomes like, yeah, I need to think about it. And then it's like, yeah, like, I'm just not really sure I have the time. And now you're in fucking defense mode, right? When you could have just played offense earlier in the call or earlier in your Calendly form. And so my biggest point with this is the ultimate delete key for this objection, for me, for the I don't have time, is like, yeah, you don't have a lot of time. And that is the exact fucking reason that you need help with this. Because you, like, do you know how much time I've invested in scouring the internet and coaching clients and putting this together and failing and making mistakes? A lot, right? Like, if I think about myself, man, I've been fucking doing this coaching world type stuff for literally like a decade in some way, shape, or form at this point, right? I've probably spent like 150 grand on mentorship. Like, I've had a whole ton of, like, I don't even know how many clients at this point, but a lot, like more than 250. And so it's like, yeah, you could figure out what I know on your own, but like, you'd have to take a decade and spend 150 grand and coach yourself and like 250 other clients, right? Like, you don't fucking have time for that, you know? So anyways, it's just like the biggest thing that you need to know, here's like to bottom line this whole thing, is like, you need to know that if someone, like, your coaching program should save somebody time. Like, that's part of why they're coming to you. Because you're either going to pay for something with time or you're going to pay with money, right? You're going to invest your time to figure something out, or you can just invest money of someone who's already spent all that time and fast track the process. That's why people pay you. So nobody in the fucking coaching industry should be getting this I don't have time objection. Because if you're a good coach and you have a good program, your program should save them time. And so the fact that they, quote, don't have time or don't have a lot of time is the exact reason that they should hire you, because you're going to save them time. That's all you need to know with this objection, period. End of discussion, right? And so, but in order to do that, the key here is you don't want to be having this conversation or going through this argument or whatever at the end of a call. You're in the red zone. Now they're defensive. They've already made up their mind that they're not going to make a decision. Like you're way, like it just doesn't make sense. And so you need to figure this out in your discovery process. Number one, you need to figure this out in your discovery process. It can be on a Calendly form with a question. It can be a certain place that you know you need to take the conversation in the call to make sure that this comes up. Okay? So that's number one. You have to discover that this is an issue for them, or they think this is an issue. Number two is you need to plant that seed early, right? In the discovery process, before you ever talk about your offer, you ever talk about the price, any of that stuff. And you just plant the seed, and it's subtle, right? You heard how I said it before. It's like, oh, got it. Okay, that sounds like you're super busy. Yeah. I mean, you probably have less time than the average person, which makes total sense as to why you want to get help with this, because you don't have all day long to try to figure this out. Boom. Objections handled before you ever get it. Okay? And so that's really step two, is like plant that seed, you know? Like it's subtle, but plant that seed in the discovery process. Get them thinking how you think in the discovery process. And that's fucking legit. Like that's not some bullshit, slimy, sleazy, whatever, you know, snaky kind of way of like doing sales. That's just the truth. Like it's just the truth. And I gave you my example, right? It's like, yeah, you can do all the things that I did, or you could just get my help. It's probably going to be a lot easier, you know? It's like the money you lose every single month by not knowing this stuff already is already the price of like my program's already paid off what you're going to get back in the, you know what I mean? Like anyways. So that's pretty much it. You got to discover it, and you got to plant the seed early. And then, like, if you're still getting that issue at the end of a call, then you can remind them, like, yeah, got it. I totally understand why you feel like you're kind of worried about the time. But I think we also, like, kind of talked about this above, and I think we're on the same page. I could be wrong. Correct me if I'm totally wrong. But, I mean, the fact that you don't have a lot of time, like we talked, like you're super busy, right? Like you have less time than the average person. Like it's even more important for you to get help with this, because like, you know, you don't have all day to scour the internet for this stuff. And so like, just so we're on the same page, like, do you see how being in this program isn't going to cost you time? Like, do you see how this is actually going to save you time? And then they're like, yes, right? And you're like, okay, cool. So worst case scenario, if you still get it in the red zone, you can still answer it. But like, you've already got, like, there's no other way to explain this other than the fact that like back then up there, before they ever had an objection, you've already shifted their beliefs. They were thinking this way. And then you were like, oh yeah, that makes sense. Like why you'd need this, right? Because you have less time. And they're like, yeah, that's actually true. Right? I was kind of, you know, like, yeah. And then, you know what I mean? They're already bought in. You've already shifted the belief. So maybe you need to retouch on it, and you need to be like, you know, at the end, it's like, okay, got it. But I mean, we can both agree that you don't have a ton of time, right? They're like, yeah, okay, great. Which probably means like, you know, you're not going to, like, you know what I mean? Like you could just, anyways, I'm not going to beat this to death, but you get it. Frickin' discover the things, plant the seeds, and then at the end, if you're still getting that objection, it's just remind them. So let's just say, discover. This is going to be, I just made this up. I just made this framework up right now on this thing. Discover, plant, and remind. Okay? Those are your 3 words. DPR. Discover, plant, remind. Okay? So if you're getting the I need to think about it, you know, hang up, then this is the easiest way that I found to do it. And this should work for every single coaching program, because every single coaching program should provide people structure and the things they need, and it should save them time. Okay? Cool. Lots of love. Hope this is super helpful. Audio is probably not great. I'm literally just sitting here, you know, on my sofa, recording this on Loom. But you know what? The message is good. So hopefully this helps. Lots of love. Go close some sales. Go help some people and feel really fucking good about it. Okay, bye.